taking over your house, or they're not interested in taking over your car. They want to see offtake agreements. And by that, they want to see that you have a guaranteed income coming in to service the debt. So if you're looking for finance to renovate a property, you're going to be more likely to get that finance if you can prove that you've got a tenant that's going to pay you, a good tenant, maybe a corporate tenant, or somebody that you've got in paper that, you know, they've agreed for the next 2 years or whatever to pay you your rental. And that's the kind of thing that is the game changer when you're applying for finance. So it's no longer about collateral. It's really about saying, do you have an offtake agreement? So do you have a written contract where the funder, whether it's a bank or a SME provider, can actually see, yes, I know they can pay back because they've got this contract in place. So those contracts are really what is the game changer in accessing finance. Fantastic. Really,
yeah, got just to add to that, Catherine.
Yeah.
Just to add to that quickly, also another, I would say, newish thing in terms of funding is you now got specific sort of funding where if you get an invoice from a customer, you could get funding against those invoices. So it's again talking the same thing like you saying, guaranteed income. That's kind of what they sort of put the collateral on, is this income, what's the likelihood of it coming in? If it's quite high, then we can use that as collateral, 100%.
Yeah, excellent. Great. Thanks. And there's somebody also asking some specific questions on where to find finance. And I would actually suggest that you post a question onto Mentor Hotline for that kind of stuff, because sometimes it requires a little bit of a thought and maybe to point you in the direction of a list of opportunities. So if there's anything, if you've got any specific questions that we're not able to handle today, please just get onto the Mentor Hotline profile. It's really easy. I said it's easier than doing your tax return. All you have to do is go and log in, create a profile, and post a question, and really you will be automatically matched to a specialist or a mentor that has those skills. And within 24 hours, you should get a response. And so, yeah, if you have any query at all, you know, just be bold about it. Get on the hotline and get the answer that you need for your business. So I have one more query that came in. So there's an answer. I know a lot of people, maybe it's not so valid now, but a lot of people were hunting COVID funding. So I think in the last 4 to 5 months, a lot of businesses are trying to find COVID funding, COVID support. Jamil, is that still going? COVID? Are people still looking for COVID? Are the windows still open? And if so, what kind of reports do they need for that?
Sure. No, thanks for that question, Catherine. So initially, specific to our program, there were a lot of funds which we applied for, a lot of the government funding which was open and available. But the problem was that there was no feedback on that, whether a business was successful in terms of applying for that. And it seems like a lot of the government funds have sort of dried up, or there's no response there. So specific to our SMEs, we've stopped sort of looking at the government funding, except for the NYDA. So I know the NYDA funding, it should still be open. If I'm not mistaken, they could be opening up another tranche of funding. And there we saw a lot of our sort of informal SMMEs actually receiving funding. So in terms of our program, because we provide compliance back office support to the SMMEs, a lot of the SMMEs weren't 100% compliant, and they still managed to get some of this funding from the NYDA. So I would recommend that, you know, your first point of call should be the could be the NYDA. And if you're a more formalized business, yeah, then go back to your bank, you know, see how you can negotiate on that cash flow thing that we were talking about earlier, you know, try and get relief for your business on that. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, great. Thanks, Jamil. So there's a few queries coming in about SARS and how to deal with SARS issues. Again, guys, my sense is I'm not a SARS specialist. I, again, would try to find a bookkeeper that knows about that and go through somebody who understands the intricacies of loading a SARS profile or fixing problems. There's somebody saying they're not compliant, you know, they haven't been paying tax and they now need to fix that problem. I would really just say, go find a bookkeeper, find a specialist, pay a little bit of money to get it done right, because, you know, SARS is what is it? It's like that bee that you can never get rid of. You know, the bee will always find you to bite you. SARS is a bit like that. They never stop. They kind of find you. I hope there's nobody from SARS here. And if so, my name isn't really Catherine Weinberg. like I'm somebody else, but anyway. Cool, guys. So maybe we just got time to squeeze in one last question. And it is the one here is about saying, how do I find a decent bookkeeper? You know, the bookkeeper that I have doesn't give me the reports that I want. How do I go about that? How do I go about finding a good bookkeeper?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's so on our Psycha website, we've got like a find a CA function. So you can definitely look there. Specifically, if you are looking for recommendations, you're welcome to drop me an email. I can connect you with a bookkeeper. So, I mean, really, in the last couple of years, because of technology as well, a lot of bookkeepers can operate remotely. So you can have a bookkeeper that's not even close to you that can still service your business. So yeah, if you're struggling to find a good, reputable bookkeeper, please do drop me an email. But like I said, we've got you know, functionality on the Psycha website for finding a CA and finding an RA on the Urba website if you're looking for that sort of thing. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Jamil. Guys, you got another 2 minutes to get in a question. Please jump in the thread. I will take one more question. But what I want to do is, Jamil, I actually had a chat with an entrepreneur about this just the other day. In fact, what it was is I was standing in the bank. Like you stand 2 hours in the bank now because of COVID, 2 hours in the queue and then 15 minutes at the counter. Anyway, I had a long conversation with another entrepreneur in the queue. And this person was complaining that their bookkeeper didn't know what they were doing and didn't understand their business, and the reports they were giving were useless. And so what I was really just trying to explain is that it's up to you as an entrepreneur to tell your bookkeeper what reports you need, you know, books, and to kind of ask for the information that you need. It's not that the bookkeeper cannot automatically know the kind of data that each needs. And so it's really about developing this relationship, sitting with the bookkeeper, not being afraid of them. You know, they're there to help you. Just, it's, you know, then they're not a doctor. They're you know, they're if you like, you know, have a conversation with them, explain to them what it is that you want, and work together to kind of bring the data and the reports that you need. Would you agree with that, Jamil?
Precisely, Catherine. I think it's a really good point, because what you want is in your bookkeeper is not just a bookkeeper. You're actually looking for a trusted business advisor. You know, I mean, if you don't really understand the finances and the tax and all of these things and cash flow, you're relying on this person who needs to know an integral part of your business. So firstly, it has to be somebody that you can trust. I mean, if you're having problems with your bookkeeper is not delivering, you know, I would recommend actually maybe going out, getting another bookkeeper, getting a more qualified person, you know, getting a reputable firm to represent, you know, because this is a long-term relationship. You know, most people never change their bookkeepers. Statistically, if you've relied on somebody to do your books and your taxes and they've done it very well, you, for the rest of your life, most probably you'd use that same person. So it is quite a sacred, important relationship. So yeah, go out and get the right bookkeeper.
That's great. Jamil, maybe just on that. So a long time ago now, I did my MBA. I was in my 40s. And the only reason I did the MBA is because I felt I was really useless with finance. I didn't understand finance. And I thought, let me do my MBA to really crack this finance thing. And so many hundreds of thousands of rand later and many hours of stress, I still say I don't really understand finance, but I now know what questions to ask, and I'm not afraid to ask the questions. And so I work I've obviously got a number of people in our finance department. I work very closely with them, and I'm not afraid to ask questions. And every month it's the same thing. What does that mean? What about that? Can I have that answer? Please give me that that ratio or that piece of data. And the thing is, as the driver of the business, it's for you to ask the bookkeeper for that. Because as I said, every set is different and every business is different. But really develop the confidence to ask the questions to get the kind of information that you need. And if you don't understand the report, say, I don't understand the report. What does this mean? What do you mean by turnover? What do you mean by this? What do you mean by deferred payments? And they need to explain it to you in layman's
100%.
terms.
In layman's terms, yeah. This definitely goes back to, you know, how you started the whole conversation when you said, you know, just start your business. And as your business grows, you'll grow and you'll develop and you'll learn and you'll be able to ask the right questions. You know,
Great,
so
thanks.
totally agree.
Thanks, Jamil. And we got some pushback from the thread here. Obviously, somebody's saying Psych is not the only place to go. There's also Cyper and Cyber. Yeah, thanks, Reuben, for that. Reuben's a full-time mentor for Fetola on one of our programs. Yes, thanks, Reuben, for that. Yeah, obviously,
absolutely.
There are different sources, but I think it's about saying gets people that are registered, preferably get recommendations. You know, just because somebody says they can do your books doesn't mean to say that they know what they're doing. So I think that's definitely a really valuable value there. And then there's somebody, I'm going to give you this. I said I wasn't going to throw you under the bus, Jamil, but I'm going to give you this hard one.
Yeah.
It's from Tabani. He's saying, if you have an order, so it actually says if you have an order, why is it not easy for a bank to give you money? Why will a bank not lend you on an order? And maybe just give him some alternatives on that.
Look, I mean, it's a difficult one specifically because, I mean, I'm not privy to the banking sector and what, they would use, like you said, as collateral or how they decide on that. It could be a case of, your rating or the credit or, there's no historic information available in your transactions. So I'm not privy to that sort of information, but you can definitely look at other institutes, like I said, that give order financing. So off the top of my head, I know there's one called Bridgement, I think, which could help there. There's LulaLend. There's Finfind, I think, would help with something like that. So there's a lot of fintechs which are looking to bridge that gap between your traditional funding, being your banking, and like your sort of smaller funding. And try to look in that space. I'm sure if the order is confirmed, I'm sure you would be able to get financing there.
So sure, definitely. I think my sense is that there are lots of other lenders. Just be careful of interest rates. I know without singling them out, people like LulaLend, the interest rates are quite prohibitive. So just watch that. I would agree with you, Jamil. Go on to Finfind. So finfind.co.za. I think they have a pretty good search facility there for different types of finance. And so maybe just try to browse around there and understand and maybe try to learn the different types of finance. Or really, as I said earlier, if you have for that question, please just post a query onto the mentor hotline. And then you'll get specific advice. You'll probably, so if you post that exact question, how can I get order finance beyond the bank? You'll be matched up to somebody that will be able to listen to your exact example, have an understanding of how much money you need and what kind of circumstances, and then be able to give you specific advice that would actually be suitable for your own business. And so I would really say that anybody had that. So anybody, I think we probably have to call it quits, Jamil. Time has really rushed by. So our time is up.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that anybody in the group or anybody of your friends that have questions that need to be answered, remember Mentor Hotline is for anything from an idea of a business. You don't even have to be fully fledged as a business. If you're just early startup, all the way to businesses. There are some businesses there that have more than 300 employees. So it's everything from really early stage, micro, small, to fairly large, small even to medium businesses, and really covers any topic from finance to marketing, to human resources, to strategy. It really depends on your need. But it's easier than registering for SARS. Just get on there, create yourself a profile, log a question, and you'll get the answers that you want as within a flash, or certainly within 24 hours. So yeah, thanks, Jamil. I've really loved chatting to you. I've had fun. I hope you've had fun. I hope the you guys out there have had fun. Really stay close, in touch with us. We'll have another one of these in a week's time. I think there we're talking about startups and pivots. So that's going to be really interesting. So any of you that are wanting to pivot your business, maybe you've seen other opportunities that you want to take advantage of, that's going to be a fabulous live chat there next week. And I look forward to seeing you there. As I say, please, any questions that we haven't managed to get to, do get onto it. Mentor Hotline. I'm sure the guys are going to share the thread right now, share the link right now so that you can go immediately there. There's 185 specialists from all over the country just waiting to help you with all your queries. Jamil, you've been a star. Thanks so much. Enjoy
Thanks
the
very
rest.
much, Cashin. Thanks, everyone. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Have a good day.
Great. Cheers, everyone.